Today we're talking about the Zodiac by Beatskillz. So the Zodiac is a virtual instrument plugin that is full of new age sounds. And these sounds are reminiscent of many famous 80s and 90s artists, which we'll mention later in this tutorial. So in all of my reviews/tutorials for virtual instrument plugins, I write a little piece. And this video is no different. So I wrote a 2-minute song for this video, and I used strictly Zodiac presets. So this song is created only with the Zodiac plugin. So that's pretty awesome because it's going to give you guys a really good idea of what you can actually create with the Zodiac. And it's also going to let you guys know whether this plugin is actually worth adding to your collection or not. So if you guys want to learn more about the Beatskillz Zodiac, then stick around after this introduction. Welcome everybody, I'm Dan Spencer and I am the Audio Sorcerer. So this is the channel where I teach you how to perfect your audio recording, mixing, and mastering skills. So before we get to the video, make sure you guys smash that like button, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I have videos coming out. So without further ado, today we're talking about the Zodiac virtual instrument by Beatskillz. So what is the Zodiac? Well, let's actually scroll down here and find out. So the Zodiac is, as mentioned, a virtual instrument with a collection of sounds inspired by new age artists of the 80s and 90s like Enigma, DeepForest, Beatskillz, Enya, and others. Okay, so hopefully a lot of you guys remember those artists, but if you're younger, you may not remember them, but they had some pretty cool music back in the 80s and 90s. So this is going to be full of lush pads, nature sounds, lead flutes, and other orchestra and world elements that are all bundled into one instrument to inspire you. So all of these sounds are professionally produced and sampled and preset generated using their own synthesis and effects engine. And they're ready to go. Okay, so you can obviously go in there and edit them to your heart's content, but I will vouch for these presets. They sound very good right off the bat. Okay, so that is the Zodiac in a nutshell. So in this tutorial/review, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the user interface, show you what's in it, show you how to use it, so you're going to know your way around it. And then I'm actually going to play you a 2-minute piece that I wrote using strictly the Zodiac. There is some very minimal mixing I did on it, so the sounds that you're going to hear are pretty much strictly how they sound from the Zodiac, okay? And hopefully that will help you determine whether you want to add this virtual instrument to your collection or not. And if you do, I have a link in the description below where you can purchase it. And right now, it is actually only $39 for its introductory price. That is actually very cheap for a virtual instrument, all right? So definitely worth the money. So with that being said, let's get started and let's take a look at the user interface of the Beatskillz Zodiac. All right, so here we are in Pro Tools, and I have the Zodiac plugin open here. So we're going to talk about a lot of the main parameters in here, but I'm not going to go over every parameter because otherwise we'd be here forever. So this plugin is essentially broken into 4 parts. All right, so you have the main section here, and then you have the edit section, you have the ARP section, and then you have the FX section. So when you first launch the plugin, you are in the main section here. Now, the plugin is broken into 2 different sounds. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, this is sound 1, and you have access to a preset right here from a mouse's at. And then on the right side here, this is sound 2, okay? So you can combine 2 separate presets or 2 separate sounds that you create. And that's something that is a unique feature that the Zodiac has. And you can, combine these sounds with different volume controls here. So, combine them to your liking. You can pan them out left and right or any pan combination that you'd like. You can modify their ADSR independently. The res or semitones, they're fine. Of course, that is their pitch. You can do all kinds of stuff to make these unique to your music, okay? Now, one thing that's also interesting is if you look down here at key range, you could actually set on your MIDI keyboard what it has access to regarding the sounds. So if I click on low here, you'll see that the low note on my keyboard, C0, that's how far down it goes. And then the high note, that would be C6. So you can actually set the range, the playable range that your keyboard can play these sounds to. Okay, so that's actually pretty unique. I've seen plugins say, hey, you can play within this range and show you a picture of the range, but I've never seen a plugin let you set the range. So that's actually another thing I think that's kind of unique to Zodiac here. All right. Now, in the middle section here, this is actually where you can access your presets. If I click on this here, these are your categories. So you got 12 different categories here. And as you can see, this is what you have to work with. You got a nice selection of stuff to work with here. It's going to cover so much stuff. You got drums, you got keys, you got arps, you got sequences, orchestra stuff, so much stuff in here. So you can create pretty much a whole song from scratch using strictly this plugin. And then in the middle section here, you have this little pyramid here. Now, on this little white line here, it's actually going to show you visually what the sound's actually doing, kind of how it moves on the frequency line, what it's doing if it's moving like an ARP. Now, I imagine that is a little bit CPU intensive, and if you don't want to see that, because of course you're not going to really be having your plugin open while you're listening to music, or at least not all of them open at the same time, you could turn it off with this little button right here, and that will turn it off and you see the white line disappears, okay? And this settings knob here, this gets you access to where your actual content is located for the sounds, okay? Because you do have to point this plugin to where you actually saved the content for the sounds. That is actually a separate download when you purchase this plugin. And if you guys do purchase this plugin, you have any questions related to that and getting this installed properly, definitely feel free to reach out to me, okay? All right, so that is pretty much everything I want to go over on the main page here. Let's go over to the edit page. So the edit page is just some, further fine tuning to your ADSR, and then stuff related to your filters here, even stuff related to your sustain pedals. This stuff here, this is not stuff I typically go in and mess with here. I'm not a big, I call it synth designer. So I work with presets a lot. I don't modify the synths too much. But I know there's a lot of people out there that like to do that, and this is the place where you would go in and do that at, okay? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this section. Let's go to the ARP section. So in the ARP section here, you can modify how the sound moves. So if the sound is landing on every beat, but you want it to land on every other beat, you can change that here. Now, if you want it to be more human-like as opposed to robotic, you can adjust the swing option right here. You can also change the direction that the sound moves in if you want it to go up or you want it to go down, or if you want it to go up and down or down and up, or you want it to be random. There's all different kinds of ways you can set this here to make it, more interesting, okay? You can adjust the speed. You can also transpose the sound. There's so much stuff you can do with ARPs in general, and they give you all the editing options right here. So just kind of a disclaimer here, I use ARPs in my producing all the time, and not always just for melodic reasons. I like to use them for rhythmic reasons and kind of bearing them back in the mix just to make it move more, give the feeling of moving. ARPs are very powerful when they're used right. So our last section here is the FX section. And this is really where a lot of the magic happens, okay? So you have your EQ here, you have your compression, you have your drive, you have delay, you have stereo widening, you have reverb, you have chorus, you have phaser, you have so much stuff in this section. This is where you're going to mix your sounds. This is where you're going to add effects to them. This is where you're going to make them sound good and unique. Now, I want to mention that in this section, this is more like bus processing. And what I mean by that is that both of your sounds are treated together in this section. You cannot add effects to them independently, okay? So just keep that in mind. So after you process your sounds here, they go out the output fader right here and then into your DAW. And that's pretty much the full signal flow of this plugin. So that's really all I want to teach you about the Zodiac user interface here. So next we're going to listen to the piece that I wrote strictly with the Zodiac. And it's going to give you a good idea which you could create with this virtual instrument. All right, just a quick overview of what I'm using here before I let you listen to the song. I actually have 12 Zodiacs in the session here, so I'm using 12 Zodiac presets. I did modify a couple of them here, so there are some overall drum kits in here. I did break apart the drum kit into 3 separate ones here, so I'm using a kick, snare, and hi-hat separately here because I wanted to have more control over the mix. That's what I would do with any virtual instrument. I do have some congas in here, which there's pretty much a whole entire drum kit related to congas, at least that's what I call them, in here. And I am playing them, hand playing them on the keyboard. It is not a ARP that's playing them. There are some strings. So this essential 2-string tracks here that I have combined, that is the overall, I would say, main part of the song that it's all based around. So it starts with that, and then I just essentially add a part. I guess it would be every 4 bars. So this is kind of a 4-bar loop where we're adding something every 4 bars, so you can kind of hear it build throughout. That's the idea of this little piece. All right. So that being said, let's give a listen here, and I hope you guys like it, and let me know in the comments below what you think of the song and also the Zodiac plugin. All right, let's give it a listen. All right, so that was my little piece there that I wrote, and I hope you guys ended up liking it. So as you can see, you don't have to write just New Age music with this plugin. You can write pretty much anything, because obviously my song is not New Age. I guess it might have some essences of New Age because it is somewhat atmospheric. Atmospheric? That's a hard word to say, but anyway, you get the picture. So yeah, this plugin is very versatile and has some really great sounds in it. So again, if you guys end up liking this plugin, I do have a link in the description below where you can purchase it. And if you end up liking this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe so I'm making this content for you, and hit that notification bell to know how many videos coming out. And if you guys enjoy this content, check out my review/tutorial on the Tone Empire Firechild, which you can add some analog compression and warmth to your Zodiac sounds. And with that being said, until the next video, I will see you guys later, and peace out.